All right, guys, we are back once again because the LOL offseason is heating up, and today we have an absolute banger of a story to bring to you guys. So, I'm lucky to have joined with me today LCS Eevee, LCS, back once again as well, which is really exciting stuff. But he's a great person to have for this news because he has a very, very big story for us today. So, Eevee, what is going on in the League of Legends world today?
So today, Flyquest Busio is leaving Flyquest and joining KCorp in the LEC. It's going to be the second NA import in LEC.
Yeah, I mean, and this is obviously a crazy story. I know we've heard some different stuff with FlyQuest this offseason, and especially after their Worlds performance, and maybe some people were disappointed, some potential changes coming. But Busio not only leaving FlyQuest but heading over to Europe. That's a bombshell of a story. That is some very, very crazy stuff. So, I guess the first thing is, can you talk about what the different options for Busio were like? Was it him maybe going to stay with FlyQuest? Was there a bunch of, obviously he's a very talented player, so I'm assuming the market was pretty hot for him.
Yeah, so Flyquest really wanted to keep Busio. They really wanted him because they had a lot of other moves as well that relied on Busio staying. Uh, Article on that, maybe. But his options in NA were Fly, Shopify Rebellion, and Lion. Lion this offseason is cooking up something really good, I think. But in the end, he ended up choosing KC in LEC.
Yeah, and then obviously, for KCorp, European team, I know we're talking about this being the second player to go from North America to Europe, but obviously, JoJo had a pretty solid season as that first player to make that transition and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how Busio is able to do this as well. But can you talk a little bit about why Busio is maybe such an attractive player for a European team like KCorp to go after?
Oh yeah. So Busio he's from a Polish family, so he could change his residency to being European, so he doesn't count as an import. That's why there was a lot of there was a lot of people looking at him from LEC when during this off season, and K Corp paid a lot of money for him. His salary is really big.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, having those import flexibility and options, stuff like that is always really, really good, especially on the player side. That's going to help with your market and being able to drive that price tag up and stuff like that. Giving you the options in North America, Europe, and also allowing your team to do more importing and stuff like that. So, I know we've been talking a little bit about how this is a really, really big deal, a big contract and all that stuff. So, obviously, this is KC being very, very aggressive in the offseason and going out and getting a guy that a lot of teams did want and stuff like that. What were the other options for KC? If obviously there was a world where maybe Busio went to another team, stayed with FlyQuest, whatever. Was there other support options for KC?
Yeah, I think Targamas was their second option, but yeah, if they ended with Busio, I think Busio is a really good player. He has unique champions. We saw Soraka at Worlds, so I think it's a really smart move by KC.
Yeah, and then obviously they had other options lined up because they didn't know how things were going to go. We keep talking about these dominoes of the offseason and stuff like that. So, if the domino fell a different way, they had to be ready to go. But now the domino falling for them, which means other teams need to kind of, start to reevaluate the rest of their offseason. What is this going to mean for FlyQuest? Obviously, they want to, continue to build off of their performances last year, even though it was disappointing. And I know they have this big inspired situation going on and all this stuff. So now a big blow losing Busio. How is this going to impact FlyQuest going forward, with their roster building for 2026?
Yes, so obviously Inspired and Busio are two of the dominoes of the offseason, at least in LCS. They're really strong players. Busio leaving, this means that FlyQuest won't be the same, and I predict at least that we're going to see more roster changes within Fly from this. I think Busio is probably the strongest support that we have in the LCS. So him going to Europe is, as an LCS fan, is kind of bad, but I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean that does suck because not only at the same time was FlyQuest, the strongest North American team this year, and it's not only FlyQuest losing a big player, like you said, it's the entire LCS losing a top player and a top talent from the region. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see how FlyQuest and the LCS as a whole is able to regroup from that and reload. And I know throughout history we're used to the LCS stealing away a ton of talent from Europe, but now we're in this new era where Europe is also stealing away some of the top talent from North America. And yeah, this is going to be a blow to the LCS for sure. But I'm definitely definitely going to be interested to see how this ends up playing out for Busio over in Europe, for KC, how they're able to round out the rest of their roster. But we're always glad to hear that those dominoes are falling. So hopefully there's some more big stories and big changes to come in the offseason soon.
Yeah, this is going to kick off the offseason to start rolling a bit faster than it has been so far. It's been really slow compared to any other offseason, because everything in every region was kind of reliant on certain like players being able to be picked up, and so this is going to be the start of a lot of different moves.
Yeah, and I mean that's the best time to be a fan. We love the speculating and the roster building and all that stuff, but once the moves actually start going, that's when stuff can get really, really fun quick. So yeah, thank you so much to Eevee for joining us today. Obviously, the big move that Busio is headed over to Europe, headed over to KCorp. Part of a very, very big deal, a big money contract, lots of moving parts going on here. The competition for him was fierce, and now KC has to round out the rest of their roster. Flyquest has to regroup and figure out what they're doing. This is going to be a fun story to watch the rest of the way, and we know that Sheep Esports is going to be here bringing you guys the rest of the stories, the rest of the scoops, not only on these stories, but much more for the rest of the offseason. So thank you, Eevee, and hopefully we hear from you with some more news real soon.